it's hard to be aware, if you're not aware, that they're keeping secrets from you. And even if you are, finding out what those secrets are can be quite hard. So last week, there's someone outside the window over here. This is my home office, and they're messing with the cable box, and I assume they're from Comcast, but I'm not sure, so I look outside there, and it kind of looks official. And I check to make sure everything's working a couple times while they're out there, and everything's good. You know, they look like they're about to pack up, and boom, they're gone. And I check, and my phone's gone, and my internet's gone. Okay, so this is with Comcast. It's on the same modem. And I say, oh shit, I called the gate to get them. You know, is there somebody from Comcast? And I don't know, we'll send somebody over. They never came by. I called Comcast immediately. I says, is there somebody from Comcast here? Because I wasn't 100% sure. You know, and they go, no, there's no one out there. No. So I said, all right, we got to get this fixed. So made an appointment for the next day. And I rearranged my tutoring appointments. It was a hassle. And so the guy comes to fix it. And he's the same guy that was out there. And I said, aren't you the same guy that was out there? And he paused for a minute and he goes, yeah, that was me. And I says, well, what happened? You know, like it was fine until you went there. And he goes, well, since you saw me, I'll tell you. I'm not supposed to tell you, but the way it works is that Comcast has this rule. If we fix a circuit or something, add TV to somebody's thing or whatever, and we find static on the line from anybody that's in the same box, we just clip a filter on that and we shut them down. Phone and internet down. And we don't tell them. He didn't say that, but I understood. They don't tell you. Oh. And then what happens is then you call and say, hey, I got a problem. And then they come out. We had a little conversation about this. And he said he felt bad about doing this, but he told them that, and they told him to keep his mouth shut. But apparently he told me because I saw him or for whatever reason. And so the deal is that he's supposed to say to me, oh, there's static on your end. I have to go ahead and mess with the lines inside here to fix it. See, because the thing is, Comcast is putting in this Xfinity system where you have all this cable and all this shit and all this data, and static fucks it up. And so I talked with him as he's going through all the cables, which I kind of messed with. I created a whole bunch of stuff, and he's just fixing the loose ones and checking with this meter thing that looked like a tricorder and all. But anyway, yeah, he says basically the company policy is not to tell people that they're doing this. They just say that, well, there's some static that's causing your problem, and not to tell them that they clipped a filter on your line and didn't tell you about that. And what's funny about that is that the next morning, okay, I had this done the next day, my neighbor from upstairs was there with him again because he clipped his stuff too and didn't tell him. And even though he was here 3 times in a row, because it's a policy where Comcast has thought it through carefully, and the idea is that if you tell people, they're not going to do shit. But if you shut down their services and then tell them, well, you know, we can fix it, it's just a problem inside, then they can get the job done that way. And nobody finds out about it. And so that's story 1. This morning, I have story 2, but it extends a little way. What happened is I have this drug that I'm taking, and last month my insurance company denied it. And they denied it because they said there was generic equivalent, which ended up turning to be a good thing. So I went to the pharmacy and said, is there a generic equivalent? And they said no. They went to the computer, there is not. I called Caremark, which is an associated company that works with my insurance company that deals with prescriptions. Is there a generic? They said no. And fine. So I called, after doing that, I called the insurance, and then they called me back, and I already explained the situation. And the lady from the farm part of the insurance agreed that there is no generic. And then she called me at the same time. The lady from medical called, and then I was like flipping back and forth to my cell phone because I didn't have phone service then because the Comcast thing was out. And so eventually we got that straightened out. So then they called claims, and then they cut me a check for over $100 for this because they said there's no generic, which there isn't technically. But here's where it gets interesting. This morning I go to pick up my pharmaceuticals and to purchase some things from CVS Pharmacy. Now, I had talked to folks at CVS previously about whether there was generic for this particular drug and others and said there isn't. And today I go early, really early, because there's no line. So I was there like 7 a.m. this morning, and instead of one of the regular pharmacists and stuff, there was like a senior pharmacist who's a really cool guy. And we started chatting and all, because I mentioned the thing about the insurance. And he goes, well, yeah, there is no generic. In fact, by law, we're not allowed to tell you that there's a generic, by law. And here's how it works. Son of a bitch. The way it works is a generic equivalent has to be completely equivalent. So 2 years ago, that particular drug, they changed it from 150 to 145 milligrams. And I asked the pharmacist, why did they do this? They go, we don't know. And so I had to check with the doctor that it was okay to go from 150 to 145. Well, here's what happened then 2 years ago. 2 years ago, a generic became available at 150 milligrams. And what the company did was, just before that happened, they shifted to 145. Now, when you say generic equivalent, I just found out today, it has to be the same dosage. So what happens is the same exact drug is available at 150 milligrams. That's what I used to take. But because they changed it to 145 just before the switch, and because my doctor approved it, whenever I asked a pharmacist, is there a generic equivalent, because I knew that was an old drug, they would say no, because the computer said no, because by law, they have to be exactly the same. And you got to know that the farm lobby giving money to the federal folks up there had something to do with it. And son of a bitch. So the way it works is that the pharmacists don't know. Except this one guy, who's a senior guy, he knew. But none of the others knew. The folks at the that farm, whatever, that affiliated company, they had no idea. They want me to save money because they save money. They didn't know. The folks at my insurance company, they didn't know, because when they typed into the computer 145 with this drug, no generic equivalent. But the generic equivalent has been around for 2 years at the 150 level, what I was taking at half the price. Now, I get 80% back on my purchases because of the kind of insurance I have, but still it's fucked up. And so you just got to be careful out there. And even if you are, how do you find these things out? I know, watch these videos by me, but think about it. What kind of other shit don't we know that they're fucking us over with? Right?